Stop what you're doing and read this. This leak is going to be the story of the year, Snowden tweeted. If you want to support the show in a different way, you can go to marfuglenews.com/VPN. We have revealed leak uncovers global abuse of cyber surveillance weapon. Now, this is worth its own story here because this is honestly part of this huge story that has been breaking for the last 3 years. And we told you that all of this was going on. Back when they did the presidential alert, I was actually talking about upstream surveillance and how things can be pushed. And then, of course, on Marfoogle News, the video where we clipped that caller that called in that had a position very similar to Edward Snowden that talked about how they cannot only get into your phone, get into your computers, get into your cameras, all of that, but they can also push stuff onto your computers, push stuff onto your phones. If they wanted to make you look bad, it's not like the old school, put some drugs in your drawer when you're not looking to frame you. They can do it digitally. And that's, again, something that I believe is going to play a bigger part in some of the biggest kind of arrests and cover-ups in the future. It says that, of course, human rights activists, journalists, and lawyers across the world have been targeted by authoritarian governments using hacking software sold by Israeli surveillance company NSO Group, according to an investigation into a massive data leak. It says that the investigation by The Guardian and 16 other media organizations suggest widespread and continuing abuse of NSO's hacking spyware, Pegasus, which the company insists is only intended for use against criminals and terrorists. It says that Pegasus is a malware that infects iPhones and Android devices to enable operators of the tool to extract messages, photos, and emails, record calls, and secretly activate microphones. This is something that has been around for a long time. But again, this kind of technology, but this malware was not only used, and of course we knew all about it, it was actually farmed out to other countries, other horrible countries. It says the leak contains a list of more than 50,000 phone numbers that it is believed have been identified as those of the people of interest by clients of NSO since 2016. Forbidden Stories, a Paris-based non-profit organization, Amnesty International, initially had access to the leaked list and shared access with media partners as part of the Pegasus Project, a reporting consortium. It says the presence of a phone number in the data does not reveal whether a device was infected with Pegasus or subject to an attempted hack. However, the consortium believes that the data is indicative of potential targets of the NSO's government clients identified in advance of possible surveillance attempts. So this massive 50,000 person list was basically their cyber hit list, right? Of the people they wanted to listen to, blackmail, get all their information, or find out if they're criminals, right? Dex, what would you bet that those were not all of course, criminals and or ists?
Oh, well, they're not. I mean, they've gone through and found that a lot of them are journalists and other people. I mean, this story is huge. It just keeps going about the different people that were that were potentially being targeted. I mean, they can't necessarily determine that because the number was there that they were targeted, but because the number was there, it's obviously on a short list of numbers, right? And so that's kind of what's really interesting. 50,000 phone numbers is not a very big list. I mean, it is a big list to you and I, but in all the phone numbers in the world, it's not that much, right? So these are very targeted list of people.
Yes, it's very specific. It's their hit list. It's their SH hit list, right? And then, of course, Snowden has commented about this. He lauds reporting on the spyware scandal as the story of the year. It says, according to an investigation by 17 media outlets from the United States to the United Kingdom, France, Germany, and other countries, NSO Group's software Pegasus was used to hack smartphones, which belonged to human rights activists, lawyers, journalists, business executives, and even two women who were close to journalist Jamal Khashoggi. which again, we all know who was taken out in Saudi consulate in Istanbul in October 2018. Again, he was literally separated from his body. It says, stop what you're, let's see here, stop what you're doing and read this. This leak is going to be the story of the year, Snowden tweeted, adding that the Israeli company should bear direct criminal liability for the deaths and detentions of those targeted by the digital infection vector it sells, which have no legitimate use. They sold this thing which could basically activate the microphones, cameras, everything, and get into anybody's phone. And they were just selling it willy-nilly. It's like, Dex, this was an extremely powerful tool, and it's like in the hands of good, it's an amazing tool, I'm sure. But now it's basically given out and sold to the highest bidder, and anybody can get this if you have money.
Yeah, exactly. And so that article just before this, if you guys want to go to our website and read it in detail, because it's a very long article, it goes into depth about what the Pegasus software is, what it did, how it was used, etc. So that's, if you guys want to read what Snowden is saying, hey, everybody should know this. That's it. Like, that article it was one of the first breaking ones that went into great detail. So go take a look at that. I would highly recommend everyone go to our website and click on that link and read the whole story. Down
towards the bottom, well, actually more towards the middle, it talks about, of course, it talks about how Pegasus is inside these. It says, NSO said that even if Pineda's phone... okay, so actually that has some backstory. It says the phone number of a freelance Mexican reporter, Cecilio Pineda Berto, was found in the list, apparently of interest to a Mexican client in the weeks leading up to his murder. When his killers were able to locate him at a car wash, his phone has never been found, so no forensic analysis has been possible to establish whether it was infected. Do you see how this could be used for bad? And if any country has the money and the contact to get this software, then they can all of a sudden grab, Cecilio Pineda Berto's phone, find out where he is. Of course, they found him at a flippin' car wash, and they took care of it. That is so scary, the fact that they've got like this Batman technology, and basically anybody can buy it, including horrible, horrible people. This is absolutely a huge deal. This is the next kind of Snowden type story. This is the next huge deal, like when we found out that NSA was doing all of this. This is even worse. Private companies are selling this stuff out.
And Adam, before we move on off of this topic, pull up the link that I put in Screener. It's somebody had tweeted this to us, or commented this to us, and I just found the actual FEMA EMS information on this test that's coming out on August 11th. So talking about activating phones, we know exactly what's happened in the past with this. Now, it sort of sounds like this may be limited to people that have opted in, but I imagine a lot of the phones are opted in automatically.
This is, of course, June 11th, 2021 was released. It says, Washington, in coordination with Federal Communications Commission, will conduct a nationwide test of the emergency alert system and wireless emergency alerts. It says the national test will consist of two portions, testing WEA and EAS capabilities. Both tests will begin at 2:20 p.m. Eastern on August 11th. The wireless emergency alert portion of the test will be directed at only consumer cell phones where the subscriber has opted in to receive test messages. This will be the second nationwide WEA test, but the first nationwide WEA test on a consumer opt-in basis. The test message will display in either English or in Spanish, depending on the language settings of the wireless handset. The emergency alert system portion of the test will be sent to radios and televisions, and this will be the sixth nationwide EAS test. So, first of all, how do you opt into this thing?
I'm looking on my phone. I don't have an opt-in. I have either emergency alerts and public safety alerts and Amber alerts, and that's it. Right?
So
I don't have an opt-in. So I'm assuming, if my phone's on, it's going to get hit. And I don't know that I want my phone being hit when that goes off.
So we talked about this with the presidential alert. It is with the presidential alert, it was supposed to be every single phone, no matter what brand, what carrier, all of the carriers got in on it. And where you could find this is the fact that, and I came up with my video, which that is my biggest video to date, over 1 million views, talking about basically turn off your phone. The reason why is I said that this was upstream. This was not downstream. This was, this wasn't just an alert. What this was capable of doing is actually having you hit that button while you look at your screen and everything. That sounds crazy, but get this. They have the E911 chip, which John McAfee back then tweeted the day after I made this video and confirmed what I said. Snowden confirmed what I said that next day. That's why that video went so big, is I said it a day before John McAfee and a day before Snowden, was that this was some sort of upstream surveillance. I mentioned ISMI or now ISMI catchers, or I can't remember the acronym for it. But again, it can be sent to the phone. Any system that can essentially send a signal to any phone can also grab from that same phone. But also, we're talking about this thing was supposed to go to burner phones, any kind of phones. And guess what? Almost every single phone has a fingerprint sensor. So when this thing goes out, what do? You end up touching the screen to press OK to cancel it. And to see where that button is, you have to look at it. So then you are looking at the camera, you are pressing OK, and when you press OK, they know you are looking at that screen. Click. It takes a picture of that person holding whatever phone number that is, which again, if it's a burner phone used under fake preferences and everything else, snap, it's got your picture. So it then can go into its database with AI organizing it and says, 622 blah, 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 blah is this gentleman who's not a citizen of the United States or came from this country and is here without proper information, and it's attached to that number. It was one of the easiest ways to do it. But then that thing came out, and a lot of people didn't get it. It was almost like it was selected people. And now we've seen the movie, of course, with the asteroid, Greenland, come out. And in that movie, they use a fictitious scenario where they use the presidential alert to select certain people for shelter from this asteroid. Now, I'm not saying an asteroid's going to happen, but they used a realistic scenario where they used that system to actually pre-select people to survive. That the presidential alert is actually a doomsday system. So what I'm saying is I don't know why they're testing this, but it seems like they are testing it again, and in this way they're doing it differently for some reason. And we're definitely going to be looking into it. Foogle fam, start digging. The show is us. So,
and the backup date, if for some reason they cancel the August 11th date, the backup date is August 25th for that test.
Yeah. So on another note, I want to remind you guys, if you have not already, or if you're new here and you do not know about EMP Shield, there is an actual way you can protect your home, your devices, of course, your generators, your cars from an actual electromagnetic pulse or an EMP or even a CME. A lot of talk about solar flares lately. I hope that people start to see this as a necessity instead of an option. Marfooglenews.com/EMP. And what happens is not only will you help support the show, but EMP Shield will give you a discount on top of that. In fact, our grandfather discount is $50, and that actually stacks on top of whatever sale they're doing. So if they're doing anywhere from 20 to whatever off, you actually get that in addition to our discount. That is something that we only get because we were in there early. Among with just a couple people. I think smaller than one hand gets that kind of discount. So go to marfooglenews.com/EMP to protect yourself. Definitely look at the car model. Again, and you don't want to be stuck somewhere after an EMP or multiple EMPs hit. This is Keystone tested, military device, military tested. And again, this is the same company that is being used by DOD, DHS, and of course the DEMSO team helping protect the Texas grid.
Feed the haters to the alligators. Your way or the highway, see you later. B.O.D. is the homie and Mr. Vader. If it wasn't for you, I would never made it. Whole city's covered by the cremated. Now they listen to what we were saying. Doesn't matter if the manufacturer or created. But now